Well, again, good morning, everyone. I read an article this morning that said that church bells and fireworks were going off all around the world last night in honor of the U.S. election. And I thought that ringing was in my ears. I'm so glad that it was actually the whole world celebrating with us as we demonstrate democracy. And so the talk today, called At the Core, I'd like to begin with a small story about the great teacher Nisargadatta. Nisargadatta was asked by a student, what can truth or reality gain by all of our practice? And Nisargadatta replied, why, nothing whatsoever, of course. But it is the nature of truth or love, cosmic consciousness, whatever you want to call it, to express itself, to affirm itself, to overcome difficulties. Once you've understood that the world is love in action, you will look at it quite differently. But first, your attitude towards suffering must change. Suffering is primarily a call for attention, which itself is a movement of love. More than happiness, love wants growth, the widening and deepening of awareness and consciousness of being. Whatever prevents that becomes a cause of pain. But love does not shirk from pain. And so, at our core, there is peace, love. It is our Buddha nature, and it is very simple and always available. Stacked on top of that, however, is our human nature. And human nature is very complex, filled with choices and emotions, thought patterns, reactions. And so the main point of the talk today is about awareness of each, an awareness of the degree to which we are aware of how much we are either distracted from what is at peace, or we are aware of what is at peace. While you are all very much aware of the pandemic, social injustice, economic despair, election turmoil, and personal problems, are you only aware of that? Or are you also aware of what Jesus called the peace that passeth all understanding? While we are aware of our humanness and what our humanness wants, money, food, companionship, shelter, a certain outcome of an election or a job search, preferences. But while we are aware of those things, can you also be aware of what within you wants nothing, needs nothing? Now, we do not deny what is going on all around us. We can see it. We can hear it, we can feel it, we can become aware of our reactions to it, but can you also still be aware of your core, of what is true, of what is at peace? Gangaji tells us this peace is universal. It is not our individual peace, but the individual mind stream has a choice, the choice of how we respond to the world, to the external elements, to the experiences we encounter in each moment. So many of our great teachers have echoed this exact same teaching. Martin Luther King said that hate does not cease by hate alone, but by love. Gandhi tells us to be the change that we're looking for out there. It is in this way that we notice that it is our response to the events and experiences that we encounter that is our teacher. In every moment, every day, we have opportunities to practice. It is our response to the experience in each moment that helps us to develop spiritual maturity. It is in this way that experience becomes our teacher. If you encounter words of hate, is your response more words of hate? Or did they simply pass through you, and did you become aware of what in you does not hate? Do you witness events and respond with fear and frustration? Or do you allow them to simply pass through and witness what in you is unafraid? This is our practice, bringing awareness of our true nature and at the same time awareness of our human nature. Both of our teachers here at Temple Buddhist Center, Ben and Robert, often talk about being in the world but not of it. We do not exclude the thoughts, emotions, human reactions, but we also do not exclude the peace. It's an imbalance. Being completely 100% focused on the external, on the things that are going on, the judgments about those things, and the thoughts about those judgments and things. But if we can at the same time maintain an awareness of our Buddha nature, our Christ nature, what is true within us, love. When I used to teach theater, used to teach high school theater for 22 years, and the actors would engage in improv games. And the training wasn't so that they could be ready if someone were to, forget a line or not find a prop on stage. And it was helpful for that, sure. But the true depthful training was so that they could become familiar with that feeling of freshness, that feeling of the first time you deliver a line or a word, so that they would be able to bring that freshness to the lines that had been rehearsed for weeks and weeks and weeks. That's the training of improvisation. And we also engage in that when we sit in meditation. We are training ourselves in meditation so that we can be with what is, and to be with the nature of mind, our human nature, and we are able to bring that experience with us everywhere we go and into each moment. That's our training. That's meditation and mindfulness practice. In the Buddhist texts, there are 3 qualities of this awareness, and they offer us additional help in our training. Our attention keeps fixating on elements that are in the foreground. Maybe we've connected with a feeling or an emotion. But as we bring awareness to the background, the presence, what is it that is aware of these feelings? Who is it that is feeling that? We ask these questions, and the more we ask, the less we find to land on, and eventually the questions bring us back to silence. There are no more backward steps, and we cannot answer. This discovery of no thing, according to the Buddhist teachings, is the supreme seeing. In the Eightfold Path, it is wise view. It reveals the first basic quality of awareness, and that is emptiness or openness. Our awareness is devoid of any form, of any center or boundary, of any owner inherent of self, any solidity. And yet our investigation also reveals that while it may be empty of thingness, awareness is alive with wakefulness, a luminosity of continual knowing. Rumi puts it this way: you are gazing at the light with its own ageless eyes. Sounds, shapes, colors, and sensations are spontaneously recognized. The entire river of experience is received and known by awareness. This is the second basic quality of awareness: awakeness or cognization, this knowing. If we let go and rest in this wakefulness, this cognization, this just knowing, instead of fixating on what is known, then we discover how awareness relates to form. When anything comes to mind, a person, a situation, an emotion, the spontaneous response is warmth and tenderness. That moment before there is an overlay of judgment and thoughts, when there is just the knowing. This is the third quality of awareness, the expression of unconditional love and compassion. In the Buddhist practice, this is known as the unconfined capacity of awareness. And it includes joy, appreciation, and the many other qualities of the heart. There's just that moment when you notice a flower, and in that moment, you and the flower are one. Before all of the overlay of, oh, that's a chrysanthemum, it's yellow, my goodness, it's lasted a long time, that should have died out weeks ago. All the thinking, the clouding, the judgment, the analysis, none of that matters. All that matters is that moment of awareness, and that's who we truly are. When Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, looked into his own mind, he realized the beauty and goodness of his essential nature, and he was free. The three fundamental qualities of our being, openness and emptiness, wakefulness and love, are always here, always available to us. And it is this tendency of mind to always look out there, to always be preoccupied with the thoughts about what's out there. Robert Brahman has often talked about our practice being like a flashlight in a dark room. The narrow beam focuses on this, on that, over here and over there. But what's the one thing a flashlight in a dark room cannot see? Itself. It cannot shine the light of awareness on itself. And so in this way, we train and we practice to become aware. Become aware of from where is the looking, the seeing, and the knowing coming from. Realizing our true nature, realizing our Buddha nature. when we stop looking with 100% focus at and for the things in this world and begin to cultivate where the sight itself is coming from, then we embark on the path of self-inquiry and a willingness to embrace both aspects of our nature. Gradually, we too can realize this wakeful, tender awareness is more truly who we are than any story we have been generating about ourselves. Any stories we are accepting from outside of us. Rather than a human on a spiritual path, we are spirit itself, discovering itself through human incarnation. As we come to understand and trust this, our life fills with increasing grace. I'd like to close with this poem by the poet Mark Nepo. If an empty box is torn apart, the air inside still joins the rest. If a heart is shattered, the love inside still coats the stars. How much fear we know depends on whether we live as something torn apart or as the air released. How much pain turns to suffering depends on whether we live as something shattered or as the love about to join. We can live as a shell waiting to crack or as the dove waking to its song.